This week we're looking at World Suicide Prevention Day. The theme is that we all have a role to play in preventing suicide. And this supports the International Association for Suicide Prevention's overarching theme of changing the narrative and starting a conversation about suicide. My focus is actually on looking at having conversations with our younger clients, our children and adolescents. And this is an area that people can often be apprehensive about starting a conversation in. They're often worried about discussing suicide and self-harming behaviours with this population, mostly because they're concerned that they're going to say the wrong thing. But what we know of this group is that a conversation started by a trusted adult is essential to identifying risk and being able to get in early with some interventions. You should know that suicide is the leading cause of death for people aged between 15 and 24, and that most of the risk factors are attributable to social determinants of health like educational disadvantage, exposure to adverse life events, social and cultural disadvantage. What research has been able to uncover is that for most young people experiencing suicidality, they're not seeking help from mental health clinicians, they're seeking help from their peers, and they often don't want to reach out to adults or services because they're usually embarrassed, they're uncertain, they're worried if a friend has told them that they feel like suicide, that they will be breaking the trust of their friend as well. So what we've determined from the research and what we know of children's lived experience with suicide is that programs that help to build and strengthen protective factors are the most likely way of getting in and avoiding the risk in the first place. When children and youth have been asked about what would help them in moments where they're feeling suicidal, it's mostly that an adult has come and asked them about how they're feeling and has actually sat with them, connected with them and listened. So when we're looking at starting a conversation with children or young people, it's so important that we're acknowledging the feelings that are behind this. Suicide is an action, it's a behaviour, and it's led by feelings of being overwhelmed or hopeless. So connection with children and young people and then discussing their concerns and listening to them, making them feel heard is priceless when it comes to intervening early. Use real language with them, use the term suicide, killing yourself, those sorts of things. They're the sorts of terms that come up in children's heads when they're feeling overwhelmed and they're considering this as an option. So make sure that they're aware that there are people around them that care about them and really want to help them through this, and that nothing is so awful that they can't talk about it. Beyond assessment of suicide risk and safety planning, we really do need to focus on connecting and focus on our communication with children. We need to lead the way with the conversations, and everybody has a role to play in that. Any trusted adult can start this conversation and more broadly be with the child, help them to feel heard and help them to feel cared for. So thank you so much for listening to the video. I think it's really important that we continue on these conversations. If we get in early as children or as early teens, we can prevent overall rates of suicide and mental health expression in older age as well.